How to control minds. The 12 laws of manipulation. Have you ever wished people would just say yes to you without a fight, without resistance, without even realizing it? What if I told you that the secret isn't power, status, or luck but something far more subtle, far more effective, and far more ancient? Manipulation. From emperors to CEOs, from political masterminds to tech visionaries, history has been shaped not by brute force, but by those who mastered the art of influence. Names like Napoleon Bonaparte, Julius Caesar, Adolf Hitler, Vladimir Putin, Fatih Sultan Mehmet, Steve Jobs, and even Joseph Goebbels all had one thing in common. They understood how the human mind works and how to bend it without breaking it. They didn't just lead, they guided thoughts, planted beliefs, and triggered obedience. They built empires not just with armies but with ideas. What if you could do the same? In this video, you'll discover 12 powerful manipulation techniques used by the most influential minds in history, techniques that have stood the test of time because they work. Don't let the simplicity fool you. Mastering these tactics isn't about being clever in a moment, it's about shaping how people feel, think, and decide even when they believe it's their own idea. And at the end of this journey, you'll learn the golden rule, the silent weapon behind every charismatic leader, every persuasive speaker, and every mind-bender in history. Are you ready to unlock the mechanics of the human mind? To enter the hidden world where influence becomes power? Then let's begin. And remember, real power isn't about control. It's about making them want what you already chose. 1. Embrace the power of uncertainty. Throughout history, the most skillful manipulators didn't conquer with force, they led with ambiguity. Uncertainty has always been the weak spot of the human brain. Why? Because the brain cannot stand a vacuum. When it encounters incomplete information, it instinctively fills in the blanks, and the best part, it does so using its own biases, desires, and memories. That means if you speak vaguely, just enough to spark interest but not enough to be clear, you let the other person's subconscious do the heavy lifting. Let's take a simple but effective example. Imagine you say, "There's this large, elegant bird with white feathers that soars beautifully. It has a special place in my heart." You never said what bird it was. But if the other person loves geese, they'll imagine a goose. If they prefer ducks, their mind will paint a duck. What happens here is profound. They feel understood, as if you share their view. But in reality, it was their mind that did all the work. Sounds subtle, even silly. Let's move to something more serious, a job interview. Instead of listing concrete titles, duties, or companies, imagine you say, "In every job I've had, I've been driven. I love the challenge of long hours, and I'm addicted to solving problems that others run away from. The rush of completing difficult tasks, it's addictive." You've said very little, yet everything. The interviewer will imagine you as a hard-working, reliable team member because their mind just projected that image. You didn't lie. You didn't overshare. You simply planted seeds and let their brain water them. This tactic isn't about deception. It's about control. You control what's said, but more importantly, you control what's left unsaid. And in the silence, the human mind starts to build its own story, one that often leads exactly where you want it to go. By using uncertainty as a tool, you don't force people to believe what you say, you guide them to believe it on their own. And that is where real influence begins. 2. Observe, categorize, and control. If you want to manipulate effectively, you must learn one thing that most people avoid. Observe people closely and classify them. Although society often labels this behavior as judgmental or unethical, history tells another story. The most powerful manipulators of all time, political leaders, business icons, and cult figures, did not shy away from it. They embraced it, and they used it like a weapon. Take Steve Jobs for example. He wasn't just creating devices, he was building an identity. He divided the world into two camps: those who embraced innovation, creativity, and vision, and those who were stuck in the past. If you used Apple products, you weren't just buying a phone or a computer, you were branding yourself as part of the visionary elite. In marketing, this strategy is called positioning. In manipulation, it's called strategic classification. Look deeper than the surface. What music do they listen to? How do they dress? What brands do they follow? What makes them angry? What do they defend at all costs? Once you gather enough data, you'll start to see patterns. You'll learn what each type values, fears, and desires, and when you know what someone values, you know exactly how to control them. Because people trust those who seem just like them, they listen to voices that reflect their own beliefs. They follow those who understand their fears. So, don't manipulate blindly, classify, target, influence. That's how you don't just speak to someone, you speak directly to their identity. 3. Repeat strategically, never push aggressively. When you're trying to influence someone, there's a thin line between repeating an idea and being annoyingly persistent. Here's the secret. The human brain loves familiarity. Think about it when you walk a route for the first time. It feels long and uncertain. Your brain is hyper-aware, absorbing every detail. But after walking that same path every day, it suddenly feels shorter. That's because your brain goes into autopilot mode. And this autopilot can be your gateway to control. Successful manipulators don't hammer ideas forcefully, they seed thoughts, sprinkle them into casual conversation, repeat them subtly again and again. No pressure, no confrontation, just gentle nudges that guide the subconscious in a particular direction. This is psychological warfare, soft power at its finest. The more an idea is heard, the more acceptable it becomes. The more familiar it sounds, the less it triggers defense mechanisms. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's propaganda architect, was a master of this method. He understood that constant exposure was more powerful than direct persuasion. Through radio, posters, and cinema, he reshaped public opinion one repetition at a time. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union waged ideological battles using the same tool. Repetition. From political slogans to brand commercials, the message was always, if you hear it enough, you'll believe it. Today's advertisers have perfected this into an art. They don't just tell you a product is great, they show it, repeat it, repackage it, and wrap it in emotional triggers. So if you want to plant an idea deep in someone's mind, don't argue, don't beg, don't insist, just repeat, calmly, strategically. Be the voice they hear so often, it becomes their own. 4. The mirror effect. How to attract people to you. The mirror effect is a highly effective technique that can significantly enhance your ability to attract others. By subtly mirroring the body language, speech patterns, and even the emotional tone of the person you're interacting with, you demonstrate that you are in sync with them. This creates a sense of rapport and makes the other person feel understood and comfortable in your presence. When someone feels that you are on the same wavelength, they are more likely to develop a liking for you and trust you. For example, in a job interview, mirroring the interviewer's posture and tone can subconsciously influence their perception of you, making them more inclined to view you as a good fit for the position. This technique is not just limited to professional settings. It can be used in everyday social interactions to build stronger connections with others, whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or networking situations. 5. Cognitive dissonance, turning indecision into advantage. Cognitive dissonance arises when there's a conflict between a person's beliefs and actions, creating a sense of discomfort that they are eager to resolve. This mental tension can be a powerful tool if you know how to leverage it to your advantage. When someone is indecisive, you can exploit their inner conflict to guide them toward the choice you prefer. For instance, if a friend is torn between two options, you might say, if you don't choose this option, you could miss out on a significant opportunity. This statement plays on their fear of missing out, nudging them to resolve their internal struggle in a way that benefits you. By understanding and applying cognitive dissonance, you can subtly influence others' decisions without them even realizing it. In this video, you'll explore how to effectively use cognitive dissonance to sway others, turning their indecision into a tool for achieving your goals. 6. Adapt to people's interests and preferences. Every person carries a hidden instruction manual. You just need to learn how to read it. That manual is written in the music they listen to, the teams they support, their political leanings, fashion style, hobbies, and even how they decorate their homes. A true manipulator doesn't start by talking. They listen, observe, and mirror, because influence doesn't come from dominance, it comes from relatability. Imagine trying to connect with someone obsessed with soccer, and you go on passionately about basketball. You've just lost them, but drop a simple line like, "Did you catch the game last night? That final goal was insane." Suddenly, a wall falls. You're not just a stranger anymore, you've become part of their tribe. Why does this work? Because the brain's defenses drop the moment it senses familiarity. People let in those who reflect their world back to them. That's why the most successful leaders and influencers seem to just get people. They speak their language culturally, emotionally, psychologically. Talk to a politically rigid person using their preferred tone and vocabulary. Approach a strict boss like a fellow visionary. Connect with a music lover through their favorite genre. Still skeptical? Try this today. Start a conversation with someone based solely on what you know they like. Notice their body shift, their voice soften, their smile appear. This is the quiet power of psychological mimicry. You're not pretending, you're positioning, and that positioning gives you the leverage to influence, direct, and eventually lead. 7. Appear weak to gain control. It might sound strange at first, but appearing weak is one of the oldest and most effective manipulation strategies. Why? Because the human brain responds differently to perceived threats. When you come across as strong, dominant, or assertive, people naturally put up their psychological shields, but if you show yourself as harmless, timid, even slightly awkward, their guard comes down just enough for you to step in. Let's take a real-world example: Adolf Hitler. Forget what you know for a moment and just look at one of his early photos. The funny mustache, the frail figure, the awkward posture, nothing about his appearance screamed dangerous leader. And that's exactly why many in Germany didn't take him seriously at first. According to historians, Hitler's unusual image actually helped him. People found him almost comical, and in that laughter, they allowed his words to slip past their mental defenses. He didn't kick down the doors, he crept through them quietly. This is the power of disarming perception. When you're seen as non-threatening, people allow you closer, they listen longer, and they react slower even when you escalate. Think about it. When someone dangerous lashes out, no one is surprised, but when the harmless one takes a bold step, it sends a shockwave through the room. This technique has been used by leaders, speakers, even negotiators for decades. On the other hand, those who try to lead with fear and dominance often find themselves isolated, doubted, and eventually opposed. So next time you want to influence someone deeply, don't roar like a lion, walk in like a mouse, and strike with silence. 8. Build dependency, not just loyalty. If you've applied the previous techniques effectively, this next step will come almost naturally, creating psychological dependence. At the heart of true manipulation is a simple truth. People who rely on you will follow your lead willingly, whether it's in your workplace, romantic life, family, or friendships. If others begin to feel they need you, you'll notice that resistance fades and compliance rises. But here's the key: don't give people everything they want all at once. That's not how addiction works. You must deliver value in doses, just enough to satisfy, but never enough to make them feel fully independent. Make them associate comfort, solutions, and emotional safety with you. Trust is your most powerful tool here. Act like one of them. Mirror their world, their values, their needs. Once they believe you understand them, they'll let you guide them. Take Soviet leader Joseph Stalin as an example. He didn't just govern, he wove himself into the very system. And no major decision could be made without him. Every crisis seemed to find its answer through his hands. The people didn't just respect Stalin, they depended on him. That's the difference between loyalty and addiction. One is based on choice, the other on necessity. Once someone feels they can't function without you, they'll never question your presence again. 9. Win people over through connection, not superiority. Think of the world's most influential leaders, celebrities, and business giants. What draws people to them? It's not just their status, it's their approachability. Genuine manipulation doesn't begin with dominance. T begins with equality. Until someone fully recognizes your influence, never position yourself above them. Trying to assert superiority too early only frightens the insecure, and fear always breeds quiet resistance. Instead, make people feel seen, heard, and understood. Be the friend, not the commander. This disarms even the most skeptical minds. Great strategists like Mehmed the Conqueror and Alexander the Great used this principle not just in conversation, but as a way of ruling empires. Alexander would learn the language and customs of every region he entered. Mehmed too spoke directly to Byzantines and Galatians in their own tongues. He didn't crush cultures, he embraced them. When Constantinople fell, he didn't strip its people of their traditions or clothing. Instead, he earned their loyalty by protecting their way of life. In time, even non-Muslim citizens began defending the new Ottoman state, as if it were their own. That's the secret. When people feel accepted, they stop resisting, and when they stop resisting, they start following. You don't win minds by standing above, you win hearts by standing with. 10. Master the art of illusion and mental games. If there was ever a historical figure who turned illusion into power, it was Hasan I Sabah. With nothing but strategy and mental games, he infiltrated Alamut Castle and took control without raising an army. How? By bending perception itself. The human brain doesn't always distinguish between reality and illusion, especially when faced with long, elaborate stories or visual distractions. It either zones out or believes everything it sees and hears, and this is where your opportunity lies. Those who understand this principle control what others perceive. They use exaggerated goals, dramatic excuses, and compelling storytelling to create a smokescreen. A confusing tale can mask the truth better than any lie. Great manipulators know how to guide your eyes and distract your focus. Great manipulators know how to guide your eyes and distract your focus. From presidents to cult leaders, many carefully design every hand gesture, every pause in speech, even the color of their clothing, not to share truth, but to control attention. So if you don't want to do something, don't just say no, say it with a twist. Add a long, impossible reason, include a bit of drama, maybe even a sigh. Let your hands move, your tone shift, your eyes wander. In the end, your target will do one of two things. They'll either accept your narrative, or give up trying to understand it. Either way, you win. 11. Command emotions to control minds. The real battlefield of manipulation isn't logic, it's emotion. The human brain, when exposed to intense emotions, becomes fragile. It stops questioning. It starts feeling, and that's your moment to strike. If you want to influence someone's thoughts, you must first enter their emotional state. Just sadness, fear, anger, every thought rides on an emotional current. Approach a heartbroken person with empathy, and they'll feel you're the only one who truly gets them. Mirror their pain, reflect their sorrow, and they will let their guard down without even knowing it. Why? Because people don't bond through facts, they bond through shared emotions. If you want to manipulate someone, don't argue, don't explain. Feel with them, act like their inner voice, let them believe you understand their world more than anyone else. Once they trust you emotionally, their thoughts will start to align with yours and you'll guide them without resistance. 12. The Golden Rule. Make them think it was their idea. Now we've come to the Golden Rule, the ultimate secret of manipulation. It's not about forcing. It's not about begging. It's about something far more powerful. Making people believe your desire was theirs all along. You see, people resist when they feel they're being controlled. But if they think an idea came from them, they will defend it, fight for it, and follow it to the end. This is not just a trick. It's an art mastered by history's most influential figures. Let's say you want to go somewhere with a friend. Instead of asking directly, talk about how drained they look, how a little change of scenery might do wonders. Suddenly, they'll say, "Let's go out." They'll think it was their own idea. This technique is the difference between influence and authority. Julius Caesar, for example, never begged for power. He refused the crown 3 times in public, making people beg him to take control for the good of the republic. even today. The smartest leaders don't impose responsibilities, they make you believe you're choosing them because it benefits you, not them. This is where manipulation transforms into mastery. When people act as you wish, and thank you for it. And with that, we end our list. These 10 methods may sound simple, but true manipulation is built through patience, precision, and practice. Use them wisely, and see how easily the world starts moving in your direction.